What happens after birth? The shocking stages your soul goes through. Have you ever felt that something is missing in your life? A deep, almost unexplainable yearning for a deeper purpose? In this video, we're about to reveal something profound, something that could completely change the way you see your existence. If you've ever wondered about the real reason you are here, why you're experiencing the things you are, and how it all connects to something much bigger, then this video is for you. Join us as we dive into the first stage of a soul's journey, a journey that began long before you were born, yet continues to shape your path today. The call of universal consciousness. It's the whisper from the universe, pulling you toward growth, enlightenment, and a deeper understanding of who you truly are. This is not just some theory or abstract idea. This is an invitation to awaken, to realize that you are part of something much greater. Stay with us until the end to uncover the secrets of the life review, the council of souls, and the choice of life purpose. All critical steps that shape your soul's journey. But first, let's dive deep into the call that begins it all. Trust me, by the end of this video, you will see your life in a completely new light. Stage 1. The call of universal consciousness. In every life, there comes a moment, often unnoticed or misunderstood, when a call is issued to the deepest parts of our being. It is not an external voice that demands our attention, but an internal stir, a subtle pull towards something greater. It's the feeling of longing, a yearning that can be difficult to articulate, but we know it is there. It whispers through the very fabric of our soul, inviting us to something more. This is the call of universal consciousness. In the teachings of the Buddha, this call is not seen as an imposition, but as a loving invitation from the universe, from the deepest recesses of existence itself. Imagine the vastness of the cosmos, the interconnectedness of all beings, and how, in the quiet moments of our lives, that infinite intelligence speaks directly to us, guiding us gently toward growth and enlightenment. It is a call that transcends time and space, reaching the soul even before the moment of birth. In Buddhism, this call aligns with the concept of Bodhisattva, the mind of awakening, which is the compassionate seed that resides in every being. It draws us toward our true path, the path of self-realization, inner peace, and the alleviation of suffering. The call is not fleeting or inconsequential. It is the very purpose of our existence. When you hear this call, your soul recognizes that it is time to evolve, time to shed the layers of illusion, and time to step into your higher purpose. Reflect on the words of the Buddha, who once said, "Just as a flower does not pick and choose the bees that come to it, the teachings of the Dharma are offered to all, without judgment or discrimination." The universe extends this call to each of us, regardless of where we are on our journey, whether we feel worthy or not. The only question is, are we ready to listen? This yearning, this call, often arises in times of introspection. Perhaps it manifests as a quiet dissatisfaction with the routines and expectations of life, a feeling that something is missing, even when everything on the surface seems perfect. This longing is not a void to be filled with material possessions or fleeting pleasures, but a gentle invitation to remember who we truly are. In the story of the Buddha's own journey, before he became enlightened, he experienced this very call. He was born into privilege, sheltered from the harsh realities of life. Yet, deep within him, there was an unshakable sense that there was more to existence than what he had been shown. When he ventured outside the palace walls and saw sickness, aging, and death, his soul awakened to the universal suffering of all beings. This was his call of universal consciousness, a call that led him to renounce his royal life and seek the path of enlightenment. Buddhism teaches us that each of us is capable of hearing this call, whether we find it through moments of silence, through suffering, or through the joy of love and compassion. The Buddha's path is not unique to him alone. It is a path that each of us can follow. Like the Buddha, we too are called to awaken to the truths that lie hidden beneath the surface of our daily lives. Consider the words of a well-known Zen master. "The bird that flies over the mountain does not ask if the mountain is steep." The journey of awakening is one that does not question the obstacles but simply continues forward, with faith and determination. The call is not there to test us or punish us, but to guide us towards a higher understanding of life. The question now is, are you listening? When the universe whispers, when the longing stirs deep within you, will you heed the call? Will you allow the seed of Bodhisattva, the mind of awakening, to grow within you? The call is not a one-time event. It is a constant invitation, one that can be ignored or embraced. And when you embrace it, life will never be the same. You will begin to see every moment, every challenge, every joy, and every sorrow as part of your sacred journey. In the words of the Buddha, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. The call of universal consciousness is a call to awaken to your true self, to your divine purpose, and to the love and compassion that reside within you. Embrace it and step forward with courage, for the path that awaits you is one of boundless possibility and infinite growth. Stage 2, Life Review. As we move into the second stage, the life review, we are invited to witness the full arc of our existence. This stage brings us to a profound understanding of our past experiences, our mistakes, and our triumphs. Imagine, if you will, standing in the presence of your soul, watching every moment of your life unfold before you. It is as though every decision, every action, every word spoken, is laid out in front of you, replayed, not in judgment, but in pure, compassionate understanding. In this review, there is no condemnation. There are no fingers pointed, no blame laid. There is only the opportunity to see your actions from the highest perspective possible, to experience the impact of your choices, not only on yourself but on others. Every moment of pain you caused, you feel. Every act of kindness you experience. The weight of guilt or shame that often clouds our minds on earth dissipates in this space, replaced by a deep understanding that every action, whether seemingly good or bad, was a stepping stone toward growth. This process resonates deeply with the teachings of Buddhism, especially the understanding of karma, the law of cause and effect. Karma is often misunderstood as punishment, but in truth, it is simply the natural consequence of our actions. The Buddha taught that every action, whether of body, speech, or mind, has an impact, either positive or negative. In the life review, your soul witnesses the ripple effects of these actions, understanding that pain is not meant to punish you, but to teach you. In one of the Buddha's most profound teachings, he spoke about the weight of one's actions. Just as a flower does not pick and choose the bees that come to it, the teachings of the Dharma are offered to all without judgment. The law of karma, in its purest form, is not about judgment or reward. It is about learning from every experience. When we cause harm to another, we feel that harm in its entirety because, in truth, we are all interconnected. But the same principle applies when we offer kindness. In this life review, you would feel the joy you brought to others, and the love you shared, all of it coming back to you in a way that teaches your soul the depth of compassion and empathy. This stage offers a valuable insight for our earthly lives. Guilt is not a tool for self-punishment but a tool for personal growth. When we experience guilt, it is often because we have acted out of alignment with our truest nature. The Buddhist path teaches us that these moments are not to be buried in shame but to be examined with mindfulness. Each act that causes suffering, whether through ignorance or intent, is a lesson, not a mark of our inherent badness. In fact, every moment of regret has the potential to shape us into beings of deeper compassion and wisdom. The story of Kisa Gautami illustrates this beautifully. Kisa Gautami, a young woman in ancient India, lost her beloved child. Grief-stricken, she sought a remedy to bring him back to life. The Buddha told her to collect mustard seeds from any household that had not experienced the death of a loved one. As she traveled from house to house, she found that no such household existed. Everyone had lost someone, whether it be a parent, a child, or a friend. In this moment, Kisa Gautami was not only confronted with the reality of death, but she also gained the wisdom of impermanence and the interconnectedness of all suffering. Her grief transformed into a profound understanding of the universal nature of human experience. Imagine if you had your own life review now in this moment. What would you change? What actions would you take differently? Perhaps there are relationships you wish you had tended to more carefully, or words you wish you had said more kindly. The beauty of the life review is that it offers you the chance to transform regret into wisdom. Guilt, often seen as a weight that holds us down, can instead become the fuel for a more mindful, compassionate life. It becomes the teacher, guiding you toward a life lived with greater awareness and intentionality. In this stage, we see the Buddhist principle of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Every life, every action, is part of this cycle, where we are constantly given opportunities to grow, evolve, and break free from ignorance. The life review is a process of reflection that allows the soul to understand the deeper currents of karma, enabling it to move forward with greater clarity. Buddhism teaches that all suffering is an opportunity for liberation. The Buddha said, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional." In the life review, you are shown that pain is not a curse, but an invitation to understand the nature of your actions. It is an invitation to learn and to evolve, to look back with a compassionate heart and see where you have caused harm, and to vow to do better. The life review calls us to be mindful of the impact we have on others. It asks us to reflect on our actions, to recognize where we have fallen short, and to use that awareness to make better choices moving forward. It teaches us that we are all part of a greater whole, that our actions ripple out and affect the collective consciousness of the world. And just as the Buddha teaches, we are not here to judge ourselves harshly, but to practice self-compassion, to embrace our flaws and imperfections, and use them as the stepping stones on the path toward wisdom and enlightenment. So, as you reflect on your own life, take a moment to ask yourself, what lessons can I learn from the regrets I carry? How can I transform my past mistakes into a wellspring of growth? The life review is not about despair, but about the power of change and redemption. It is an invitation to live with greater awareness, to make each moment count, and to carry forward the wisdom gained from both triumphs and mistakes. Ultimately, this stage teaches us the power of transformation. No mistake is beyond redemption, no moment too late for change. Each moment, no matter how painful, offers a new opportunity for growth. So, let guilt become your teacher, regret your guide, and compassion your constant companion as you move forward on this sacred journey of life. Stage 3, the Council of Souls. In the Council of Souls, your soul enters a sacred meeting, not with strangers, but with those who have accompanied you through lifetimes, beings of light, your spiritual guides, the guardians of your soul's journey. These beings are not distant figures, detached and uninterested. They are intimately familiar with your essence, with the very core of who you are, having walked alongside you through all your incarnations. In their presence, you are reminded not only of your deepest wisdom but also of the compassion that you carry within. It is said in Buddhism that bodhisattvas, enlightened beings who have reached a state of profound understanding and compassion, choose to remain in the cycle of birth and death in order to guide others toward enlightenment. These bodhisattvas do not leave us to wander aimlessly. They guide us, protect us, and offer wisdom from a place of boundless love. In this council, you are welcomed by your spiritual guides, who, much like bodhisattvas, have been with you from the very beginning. They have always known you, even when you have forgotten yourself. This stage teaches a powerful lesson. You are never alone. Even in the most difficult moments of your life, when you felt lost, unsupported, or abandoned, there was always a divine team standing by, offering guidance, love, and support. The challenges you faced, the relationships you entered, the obstacles that seemed insurmountable were never random. They were carefully chosen, designed by your soul and these spiritual guides to help you grow, to expand, and to fulfill your soul's unique purpose. Buddhism teaches that our lives are shaped by karma, and that all experiences are interconnected. Each soul we meet, every challenge we face, is not by chance. These encounters are opportunities, chosen before birth, to help us realize our deepest truths and ultimately lead us toward liberation. When we look at life from this perspective, the mundane experiences of daily life are revealed as profound lessons, moments meant to awaken us to our true nature. The Council of Souls is a reminder that we are all part of something much larger than ourselves, And our journey is not one of isolation, but one of sacred connection. In the story of Maitreya, one of the future Buddhas, we find a powerful illustration of this idea. Maitreya, in his earlier lives, was not always enlightened. In fact, he was a prince, deeply concerned with worldly matters. But he was deeply influenced by a wise elder who showed him that true happiness lay not in wealth or power, but in understanding the interconnectedness of all beings. In Maitreya's case, it was this elder, a bodhisattva in disguise, who guided him toward the truth that lies at the heart of Buddhist teachings. This elder was not alone. His life was part of a larger web of relationships designed to awaken Maitreya's soul to its higher purpose. In the same way, we too are not walking this path alone. Even when you feel that you are struggling on your own, unable to find your way, know that the spiritual guides in your Council of Souls have never left your side. They are with you in every thought, in every decision, offering quiet wisdom and gentle encouragement, even when you cannot perceive their presence. In Buddhist teachings, there is a concept called Devadatu, the realm of the gods, or the divine beings who reside in higher realms of consciousness. These beings are not detached from us, but deeply involved in our spiritual growth, helping us move forward when we are lost, and lifting us when we are down. Take comfort in the knowledge that, just like Maitreya, you are being guided. Life's obstacles, those moments of doubt, suffering, and pain, are not punishment. They are part of your spiritual evolution, sculpted by the loving hands of your spiritual guides. These beings are there to help you navigate through life, helping you learn from every experience, guiding you back to compassion, wisdom, and peace. The Buddha spoke of Sangha, the community of spiritual practitioners who walk the path of awakening together. In a sense, the Council of Souls is the ultimate Sangha, a community of beings who are united by their shared goal of helping each other attain enlightenment. As you reflect on your life, you can trust that every encounter, every challenge, every moment of struggle is supported by the unseen presence of those who have been by your side, guiding you with their love and wisdom. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it is said that the consciousness of the deceased is accompanied by spiritual guides who help them navigate through the afterlife, assisting them in their journey toward liberation. This idea is deeply connected to the Council of Souls, a place where your soul meets its guides and co-creators, choosing its next steps in the grand cosmic journey. It is here that you are reminded of your own divine potential, your sacred purpose, and your eternal connection to all beings. As you reflect on this, take a moment to acknowledge the divine support you receive in every aspect of your life. Even when it feels like you are walking alone, you are not. Your spiritual guides, much like the bodhisattvas, are walking with you, offering their compassion, their wisdom, and their love. Trust in this support and know that every step you take, every decision you make, is part of a larger plan. A plan that was co-created with your soul and your guides, designed for your highest good. So, as you move forward in life, know that you are held by the loving presence of your spiritual team, a team that will never let you go, a team that will guide you with infinite wisdom and compassion. You are not here by accident. Every soul you meet, every challenge you face, is part of a greater divine design. Trust in the process and remember you are always supported. Stage 4, the choice of life purpose. In this stage, your soul stands before an incredibly important decision, the choice of your life's purpose. This is no arbitrary decision, no random path chosen on a whim. It is a deeply spiritual choice, one that resonates with the very core of who you are. It is in alignment with your essence, your true nature, and it is the key to unlocking the full potential of your soul's journey. This purpose may not be clear to you at first. Often, it's revealed gradually, unfolding through the passions that stir your heart, the desires that fuel your actions, and the challenges that arise in your path. Buddhism teaches us that the process of life is not about achieving worldly success or accumulating material wealth. Instead, it is about understanding our deeper nature and aligning our actions with the truths of existence. The Buddha spoke of right intention as a core principle of the Eightfold Path, emphasizing that our intentions, our motivations and desires, should be rooted in wisdom, compassion, and non-harm. It is through right intention that we align ourselves with our true purpose, which often goes beyond our personal ambitions and desires. Your life purpose is not something to be found outside of you. It is something that has always been inside you, waiting to be uncovered. In Buddhism, there is a teaching that everything we need to reach enlightenment is already within us. The path to our life's purpose is not a matter of searching outwardly for answers, but of looking inward, connecting with the wisdom that resides within. This purpose is not about following someone else's path or fulfilling external expectations. It is about discovering what resonates deeply with your soul and choosing to live in alignment with that truth. In the teachings of the Buddha, suffering is seen not as a punishment but as a doorway to transformation. Every pain you experience, every challenge you face, is an opportunity for growth and healing. The suffering you have endured is not meaningless. It is the seed from which your purpose may blossom. The pain of loss, the struggles you faced, and the wounds you carry may be the very tools your soul has chosen to help you develop the wisdom and compassion necessary to fulfill your purpose in this life. Consider the story of the Buddha's own journey. Born into luxury and privilege, Siddhartha Gautama lived a sheltered life, insulated from the suffering of the world. Yet, when he first encountered sickness, aging, and death, he was deeply shaken. He realized that the world was full of suffering, and he felt compelled to understand its cause and, more importantly, its end. His life purpose was revealed to him not through a moment of clarity, but through the pain of witnessing the impermanence of life. It was through this suffering that he found his true calling, helping others overcome suffering and attain enlightenment. In your own life, the challenges you face, the pain you endure, and the struggles you overcome are all opportunities for you to discover and fulfill your soul's purpose. Every hardship carries with it the potential to awaken deeper wisdom and compassion. The Buddha once said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." This teaching reminds us that the difficulties we experience are not obstacles to our purpose but stepping stones on the path to its realization. Your purpose is not always something grand or external. It may not involve achieving fame or recognition, but rather living a life of kindness, of love, and of service. Often, our life purpose reveals itself through the simplest of actions: how we treat others, how we deal with challenges, and how we respond to suffering. This purpose is aligned with your deepest values and connects you to something far greater than your individual existence. It is about living in harmony with the world and with your own true nature. Take a moment to reflect on the obstacles you've faced. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that suffering, though painful, is a universal experience that connects us all. It is not meant to isolate us but to remind us of the interconnectedness of all beings. The difficulties you face may be opportunities for you to develop the wisdom and compassion needed to fulfill your purpose. Your purpose is often born from the very things that challenge you, helping you transform your suffering into a source of strength and understanding. In one of the great Buddhist stories, The Buddha and the Parable of the Burning House, a father uses a clever trick to save his children from a burning house by offering them toys they desire. Similarly, life often presents us with distractions and desires, but it is through the process of suffering and awakening that we realize the deeper, spiritual truths beyond these illusions. Our true purpose, like the toys in the burning house, may initially seem like something external or worldly, but in the end, it is the wisdom gained from our struggles that leads us to true peace. When you reflect on your life purpose, ask yourself, what lessons have my struggles taught me? What passions stir my heart? What pains have I endured that can now become the seeds of compassion for others? Your life purpose may not always appear in grand moments of revelation. It often emerges quietly, through the gentle whispers of your heart, as you align your actions with your true nature. Ultimately, the choice of your life purpose is not about success or achievement in the conventional sense. It is about discovering what aligns with your soul's deepest truth, and it is through living in alignment with that truth that you will find true fulfillment. Every step you take, every choice you make, can be a step closer to understanding and fulfilling your divine purpose. Through mindfulness, compassion, and right intention, you can walk the path that leads you not only to your own liberation but to the liberation of all beings. In Buddhism, the ultimate purpose is to live a life that benefits others, to awaken to the interconnectedness of all things, and to transcend the ego's desire for separation. So, as you continue your journey, reflect on your purpose, not as something distant or elusive, but as something within you that you can tap into at any moment, guiding you toward a life of compassion, wisdom, and peace. Stage 5. The choice of body and family. Once your soul has chosen its purpose, the next pivotal decision it makes is choosing the body, the family, and the environment in which it will incarnate. At first glance, this might seem like a random or even cruel selection, especially when we look at the pain and suffering we encounter throughout life. But, in truth, this decision is far from random. Your soul, in its wisdom, does not choose these aspects of your life without deep purpose. It chooses them because they provide the exact conditions necessary for your spiritual growth and awakening. In Buddhism, the concept of dependent origination is central to understanding life. This principle teaches us that all things arise in dependence upon conditions. Every event, every relationship, every circumstance is interconnected. We are not isolated beings, but part of a vast web of life, where each moment is influenced by countless others. This understanding reveals that the body and family you are born into, the environment that surrounds you, are not happenstance. They are conditions, carefully chosen by your soul, meant to serve as the perfect environment for your spiritual journey. The Buddha, in his teachings, explained that suffering is an inherent part of existence, but it is not something to be feared or resisted. It is through suffering that we learn the deepest lessons of compassion, patience, and mindfulness. Just as a lotus flower must grow through the muddy waters before it can bloom, so too must we navigate through the challenges of life to reach our fullest potential. The pain and struggles you face are not punishments or random acts of misfortune. They are, in fact, the conditions that allow your soul to expand and evolve. One of the most profound stories from Buddhist teachings is the tale of the Buddha's own birth. Siddhartha Gautama, later known as the Buddha, was born into a royal family, and yet his life was marked by intense challenges and struggles. Despite the lavish surroundings of his early life, Siddhartha was faced with the harsh realities of human existence: sickness, aging, and death. This caused him to question the very nature of life and suffering. His royal family, in an attempt to protect him from the truth of life's impermanence, kept him isolated from the outside world. Yet, it was this very isolation and the eventual exposure to suffering that spurred him onto the path of enlightenment. His soul had chosen this very environment to challenge him, to awaken him to the truth that he was meant to share with the world. Through suffering, he would come to realize the path to liberation, not just for himself but for all beings. This story teaches us that the family we are born into and the circumstances we face are not random. Whether our experiences are filled with joy or hardship, they have been carefully selected to foster our growth. In Buddhist philosophy, the principle of karma reveals that we are not born into suffering by chance. Our actions from past lives have set the stage for the experiences we will face in this lifetime. The Buddha taught that everything we experience is a result of our past actions, thoughts, and intentions, and every moment offers us an opportunity to cultivate positive karma, to act with compassion and wisdom. Take, for example, the story of Angulimala, one of the Buddha's most famous disciples. Angulimala, in his past life, was a cruel and violent man who killed people out of greed and ignorance. However, after encountering the Buddha, he realized the depth of his wrongdoing and sought redemption. Despite the horrors of his past, Angulimala's suffering and regret led him to seek the teachings of the Buddha. Through mindfulness, discipline, and right intention, Angulimala eventually became a monk and attained enlightenment. His story shows that even the most painful and destructive aspects of our lives can become the soil in which our spiritual growth takes root. Similarly, the family you are born into holds great significance. In Buddhism, family is seen as the first sangha, or spiritual community, where we are first taught the principles of love, patience, and wisdom, or where we are challenged to learn them. The family dynamics we experience, whether harmonious or strained, are meant to mirror the struggles and lessons we need to overcome in order to fulfill our soul's purpose. It is through our relationships, especially the difficult ones, that we learn the most about ourselves and others. The Buddha spoke of right speech and right action in relationships, teaching that we should speak and act with kindness, compassion, and understanding. The challenges within our families are opportunities to practice these qualities, to work through our attachments and aversions, and to grow in wisdom and compassion. This understanding of dependent origination reminds us that the life we are living is not random. Every person we meet, every experience we have, is an essential part of our spiritual journey. The family we are born into, the body we inhabit, and the environment we are placed in are not merely external circumstances, but the very conditions that allow us to work out our karma, to transcend our suffering, and to grow toward enlightenment. In this stage, you are reminded that life is not just a series of random events. Everything is interconnected. The challenges you face are not obstacles to your happiness, but the means by which your soul evolves. The suffering you experience, the pain you endure, are not to be feared or avoided, but embraced as the conditions for your growth. It is in these moments of difficulty that your soul is being shaped, that it is learning the lessons that will allow it to fulfill its highest purpose. So, when you look at your life, your body, your family, your circumstances, remember that they are not accidents. They are the very tools your soul has chosen to help you on your path to awakening. Each challenge is a blessing in disguise, an opportunity to grow, learn, and move closer to the realization of your true self. Embrace these conditions, knowing that they are leading you toward the person you are meant to become. Stage 6. The Veil of Forgetfulness. After your soul has made the important decisions about your life purpose, family, and body, it passes through a sacred threshold, the veil of forgetfulness. This veil is not an arbitrary barrier, but an essential part of the human experience. It is the means by which we are born into this world with no recollection of our spiritual origins, so that we may fully engage in the journey of life, its joys, its sorrows, and its lessons. In Buddhism, this state of forgetfulness mirrors avidya, which means ignorance. Avidya is considered the root cause of suffering, because it prevents us from recognizing our true nature, our interconnectedness with all beings, and the impermanence of all things. The veil is a natural part of the human condition, allowing us to explore the world with fresh eyes, to make mistakes, and to grow in wisdom. Without this forgetting, life would lose its sense of wonder and its potential for personal transformation. The Buddha himself spoke of the nature of ignorance and its power over us. In the Dhammapada, he said, "From ignorance comes fear, and from fear comes suffering." This ignorance is not a flaw or a punishment, but a necessary part of our spiritual journey. If we were born with full knowledge of our past lives, our soul's purpose, and the ultimate nature of existence, there would be little room for discovery. Life would lose its mystery, and the richness of human experience would be diminished. Consider the story of Prince Siddhartha, who later became the Buddha. Before he left his royal life behind, he had been shielded from the realities of aging, sickness, and death. His father, King Suddhodana, did everything in his power to protect him from these painful truths, so that he would never experience the suffering of the world. But when Siddhartha finally ventured outside the palace walls, he saw a sick man, an old man, and a dead body. This encounter was his awakening moment. It was the moment when the veil of ignorance lifted for him, allowing him to see the truth of existence. This awareness drove him to seek the path to liberation, not just for himself, but for all beings. Had he not passed through this veil of forgetfulness, his quest for enlightenment would never have begun. In the same way, we pass through the veil in our own lives, unaware of our true nature and the deeper purpose of our existence. This forgetting allows us to experience life in its full spectrum, the joys, the challenges, and the inevitable suffering. It is through these experiences that we are able to awaken and realize our true potential. The veil allows us to learn through our actions, to grow through our mistakes, and to develop the compassion and wisdom necessary for our spiritual evolution. But while the veil may seem impenetrable at times, it is not a permanent state. In Buddhism, we are taught that we can pierce the veil through practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and deep reflection. Through these practices, we begin to reconnect with our true essence, the light of wisdom that resides within us all. we can gradually remember our connection to the universe and to the wisdom of our own soul. In the Heart Sutra, the Buddha teaches that form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. This teaching points to the inherent impermanence and interconnectedness of all things. The veil of forgetfulness prevents us from immediately seeing the true nature of the world and our place in it. Yet, with deep practice, we can begin to dissolve the layers of ignorance, uncovering the truth that is hidden beneath. The veil is also closely related to the concept of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. It is through this cycle that we are given the opportunity to purify our karma, to learn, and to awaken. If we were born with full knowledge of our past lives and the nature of existence, we would be unable to experience the challenges that are necessary for our spiritual growth. The veil allows us to face life's difficulties with humility and grace, understanding that each moment is a chance to learn and evolve. Take, for example, the story of Venerable Ananda, one of the Buddha's closest disciples. Ananda had been with the Buddha for many years and had witnessed countless teachings and miracles. Yet, despite his proximity to the Buddha, he still struggled with the deepest truths of the Dharma. It wasn't until after the Buddha's death, when Ananda was left to guide the monastic community, that he truly began to understand the essence of the Buddha's teachings. It was through his own suffering and experience of loss that Ananda came to realize the impermanence of all things and the importance of wisdom and compassion. This was a moment when the veil of forgetfulness began to lift for him, allowing him to embrace the full teachings of the Buddha with a deep personal understanding. In this way, the veil of forgetfulness is not an obstacle to be overcome, but a vital part of the human experience. It is through the process of forgetting and remembering, of experiencing and learning, that we come to realize the deeper truths of existence. The veil allows us to experience life in all its complexity and depth, offering us the opportunity to cultivate compassion, wisdom, and love. Through meditation and mindfulness, we can pierce the veil and reconnect with our true essence, our innate capacity for enlightenment. As you reflect on your own life, consider the moments of insight and clarity you have experienced. These moments, though fleeting, offer a glimpse beyond the veil, reminding you of your true nature and your connection to the greater whole. In times of stillness, when the noise of the world quiets, you may begin to see through the veil more clearly, recognizing the divine wisdom that has always been present within you. Remember, the veil is not here to deceive or punish you. It is here to help you grow. It is through the process of forgetting and remembering that you are given the opportunity to awaken to your highest self. So, embrace the veil with compassion, knowing that it is a gift that allows you to live fully, to experience the richness of life, and to ultimately awaken to the truth that has always resided within you. Through mindfulness, through practice, and through deep reflection, you will gradually lift the veil and come to know the eternal wisdom that lies within your heart. Stage 7, Birth, the Leap of Faith. At this stage, your soul embarks on its greatest act of courage, the leap into physical existence. With full awareness of the challenges it will face, your soul willingly dives into the unknown, taking on a body, a family, and a life. The soul does so without the certainty of success or knowledge of what lies ahead. This is the ultimate leap of faith, the act of trusting the process of life. It is the belief that through this leap, growth will unfold, and the soul will evolve, learning in ways that are unimaginable from a distance. In Buddhism, this stage is closely tied to the idea of the Bodhisattva vow. The Bodhisattva is an enlightened being who, out of profound compassion, chooses to remain in the cycle of birth and death in order to help all beings attain enlightenment. This vow is not made lightly. It is an act of selflessness, courage, and, most importantly, unwavering trust in the journey ahead. The Bodhisattva knows that while the path may be filled with suffering, it is through this suffering that true wisdom and compassion can be cultivated. Your leap into physical existence mirrors this vow, an agreement made by your soul long before birth to experience the full spectrum of life's challenges. The body you are born into, the family you join, and the environment you enter are all conditions your soul chose in the spirit of this leap. Every moment of joy, every trial, and every heartache is part of this larger plan to awaken, evolve, and ultimately help others along their own journey. Consider the story of Shakyamuni Buddha himself. Before he became the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, born into royalty, had everything one could desire, a life of luxury, a life of certainty. But he chose to leave all that behind. He took a leap of faith, leaving his palace and stepping into the unknown, determined to find the truth about suffering and the path to liberation. He didn't know where the journey would take him. He didn't know how long it would take or if he would succeed, but he trusted the process and embraced the path, knowing that true enlightenment could only be found through direct experience. His leap of faith led him to become the Buddha, and his story serves as a profound reminder that it is often through our willingness to step into the unknown that we find our true purpose. This leap into life is an act of immense courage. It is not simply a physical act of birth, it is a deep, spiritual choice. It is your soul choosing to embrace the journey of impermanence, trusting that, through all the ups and downs, it will find its way home. This trust is not blind faith but faith grounded in the understanding that life, with all its challenges, is the very terrain where transformation happens. In Buddhism, we speak of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. This cycle is not something to escape, but something to engage with fully, because it is through our engagement with samsara that we reach enlightenment. Every life, every challenge, and every death is part of a larger cosmic rhythm that allows the soul to grow and evolve. The leap into life, with all its uncertainty, is the soul's way of immersing itself in this cycle, knowing that it will be through its involvement in this world that it can transcend it. One of the most beautiful teachings of the Buddha is that all beings possess the potential for enlightenment, not just the enlightened ones. Every person, every being, is capable of awakening. The Buddha said, "Just as a lotus grows from the mud, so too does wisdom grow from suffering." This teaching reminds us that the path to enlightenment is not free from challenges, but it is through these challenges that our true potential is realized. The leap of faith is trusting that, even when we find ourselves in the mud, we can rise above it, just as the lotus does, unfolding into something beautiful and pure. As you journey through life, remember that you are more than just this body, more than just your earthly identity. You are an eternal soul, capable of infinite growth, transformation, and awakening. This is why, even in the most difficult moments, you are never truly alone. Your soul has chosen to take this leap, not just for itself, but for all beings. Just as the Bodhisattvas vow to help all beings attain enlightenment, your life purpose involves touching the lives of others, sharing your wisdom, and spreading love and compassion in ways only you can. Reflect on the story of Milarepa, one of Tibet's greatest saints, whose life was filled with immense hardship. Born into a wealthy family, Milarepa faced tragedy when his father's wealth was lost. Driven by anger and revenge, he caused harm to others. But eventually, he took a leap of faith, seeking out the guidance of a spiritual master, and dedicating himself entirely to the path of enlightenment. His life was full of suffering, but it was through that suffering that Milarepa attained great wisdom. His story shows us that even in our darkest moments, when we feel lost or broken, we can choose to step onto the path of awakening. Your leap of faith, your decision to enter this world, is a sacred act, full of potential. It may seem frightening, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty, but it is precisely this uncertainty that allows you to discover who you truly are. Every moment, every step you take, is part of the grand journey that leads you toward awakening. Know that you are supported not just by your guides, but by all of existence. Life itself is your teacher, and through its teachings, you will grow, evolve, and help others do the same. So, as you continue your journey, remember the courage it took for you to take this leap. Embrace it fully, live it fully, and trust that through this leap of faith, you will find the wisdom and compassion you seek, and you will awaken to the divine potential that resides within you, guiding you toward your highest purpose. If you've made it this far, you've already taken the first step, answering the call. You've explored the deep truths that shape your existence and began to see the journey of your soul from a higher perspective. But this is just the beginning. There's so much more to learn, so much more to discover. Buddhism in Life is dedicated to bringing you the wisdom of the ages, the teachings of the Buddha, and the truths that can help us all evolve toward a life filled with peace, compassion, and enlightenment. So, if this video resonated with you, if it sparked something deep within you, don't stop here. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share your thoughts and experiences. Let's keep the conversation going. Together, we can walk the path of awakening. Remember, life is not a random series of events. Every challenge, every moment, every choice has a deeper meaning. Trust the process, embrace the journey, and always seek the wisdom within.